Welcome to the first weather and climate chat of fall 2017 after a couple of months off. Well, we weren't really off. We just weren't recording. Dr. Michael Davis and me, myself, Monsoon Mike. Welcome to fall 2017 semester, Dr. Davis. How was your summer?
My summer was pretty good. Put together my 10-year portfolio.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, we haven't talked since around June, so it's been a couple of months for us. We are back. We're going to try to do this weekly. If you're new to the podcast, this is a podcast where we, for the first half of the approximately 15 minutes, talk about our local weather. And then for the second half of the approximately 15 minutes, we talk about a national or international climate or weather topic of sorts. And with
I wonder what that might be.
With what's going on over Texas, I think we have our topic cut out for us pretty well. So let's first go through the our local weather. And since we haven't just gotten together in a little while, let's talk about a local topic that's not too unlike what the topic will be later, excess rain. Obviously nothing like what's going on in Texas. But I just saw a statistic recently, you might have seen it too, that Allentown, which is probably our closest or one of our closest airports where they take readings, had their second wettest summer on record. So why did we have such a wet summer, Dr. Davis?
We had a lot of storms that just passed through the area. I believe July was above average in terms of, I think, 5-6 inches above normal, and August had about the same. So we just had the unlucky geography that pretty much put us in all these tracts of low pressure systems, and they just kept grabbing moisture from the Gulf or from the Atlantic and dumped it on us.
And not only that, anytime that we seemed to have severe weather, like thunderstorms, the storms would do that thing where they would train over one area for a while. And usually, the low parts of Reading and Allentown that kind of flood maybe once or twice a year. It seemed almost like it was a biweekly basis this summer.
And then we also had destructive sunshine, which is termed when you have the sun heating up the ground.
Right.
You transport that moisture up via, say, convection because of the warm surface. It then condenses, forms clouds, precipitates out in heavy form. And then the storm leaves, the sun comes back out, repeats the process.
Right. The other thing that's been a little bit predominant the past couple of weeks, and maybe for the next couple of weeks, has been slightly cooler than average temperatures. With the National Weather Service Climate Prediction Center, the little map that you and I always look at, the 6 to 10 day and the 8 to 14 day, it's been a while that since I've seen a lot of blue, but this past couple of weeks I've seen a lot of blue for the East Coast.
We've had a trough in the jet stream, which is pretty much indicative, too, of the very strong high pressure that's sitting out in the western U.S., pretty much acting like a blocking high, which is one of the reasons why Harvey decided to stop.
Right.
But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yes. So usually when you have an area of the country that's cooler than average in the summer, somebody else is baking pretty good. And I think the northwest part of the country is above normal temperatures.
Southern California is going to be very warm today. They're looking at temperatures above 110.
Wow. Okay. So and when we're recording this on Tuesday, August 29th. By the time you listen to this, we might be getting back to closer to normal temperature-wise. But for today, we have a storm not too far off the Carolina and Virginia coast that's bringing us an easterly wind, and it almost feels like September, October out there.
Yeah, the easterly wind is bringing in the moisture from the Atlantic, which is then helping to give us all this moisture to work with in terms of precipitation.
Right.
And also to help moisten the boundary layer, which is then creating a thick layer of stratus clouds that we're seeing on Tuesday, which is going to block any sunlight. And as water evaporates, you're going to have that cooling process due to the absorption of latent energy, which then makes it cooler.
Now, this storm that's off the coast right now, like North Carolina, Virginia, I don't believe it's been technically labeled a tropical storm yet.
No.
But it has tropical characteristics.
Yes, it does.
And it might become one before it goes away, right?
Yeah, although I've been seeing more possibly subtropical, where it makes that transition once it gets too far north.
Right.
So it's not going to be a warm core low. It might have more of a colder core associated with it. And at that point, it might get a name, too, because you do have post-tropical systems or subtropical systems that do get their names.
Okay, so we're not really seeing the brunt of that. We are seeing the northern fringe of the rain. Not too far north of here, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, they might not see much out of this at all.
Most of the heavier rain seems to be down toward eastern Maryland,
Delmarva,
where they could be getting up to 5 inches of rain.
So that's a reputable amount of rain.
Yes.
Of course, nothing like what's going on in Texas with their storm, but it's still a reputable amount of rain. We'll probably, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, get, what would you say, a quarter inch out of this?
Quarter, half
tops
at most.
Yeah. Okay. And then it looks like we bounce back a little bit tomorrow. I see temperatures back up near 80, which is nice.
As the low moves out to sea.
Which is actually about normal for this time of year, right? Are we looking at low 80s?
Yeah, we're about going to be seasonal, like low 80s, upper 70s for this time of year.
And then Thursday, same thing. Thursday might actually be a little bit above normal. I'm seeing highs around 82, 83 on Thursday, which is nice. But we also have a cold front then coming on later on Thursday as well.
Yeah, Thursday coming through. Looks like we're going to have some showers, maybe a chance of a thunderstorm on Thursday. And then Friday, looks like it clears out a bit and get back to sunny conditions. And then we could be seeing some rain for Saturday.
Yeah, and when we get back to the nicer weather on Friday, it looks like we're back to the below normal temperatures again. Let's see, National Weather Service going with...
I was seeing upper 60s for Friday.
For Friday? Really? That cool? I didn't know we were that cool, but maybe we will be. My computer is acting very slow today. Okay, well, I just know that it's going to be... Oh, here we go, finally. Friday, oh, you're right. Wow, 69 degrees for a high on Friday. That is fall-like. That's more like mid-September.
First day of meteorological autumn, too, is Friday.
Yeah, but I'm going to like that. And me being the perpetual, if you're new to this podcast, I'm the perpetual cool weather lover, so I'm not complaining about this slightly below normal temperatures that we're having. Although it does look like we rebound a little bit on by Labor Day. We could be up near 80 again. But you're right. I also see some chances of showers as well over the weekend. I'm not sure what that's related to. Is that another front, or is that let me see. Let me look at the models here.
It looked like a front or trough passage, some type of atmospheric disturbance.
I think actually we could see a little bit of the energy of Harvey absorbed into the weekend. I think a little bit of I think the National Weather Service mentioned that in their discussion. There could be, of course, by the time
most of it's going to be going further south, I believe.
Right, but it could be a little bit of energy absorbed in there. I'm trying to find where I saw that this morning. But yeah, obviously don't panic in any way, shape, or form. That's much.
Harvey will be a shell of itself.
A shell of itself. Yeah. So okay, well we pretty much discussed the weather over the coming days. We have below normal temperatures for the most part, except for Thursday when it gets a little bit above normal. Another front comes through, back to below normal. Could be some showers over the weekend, but doesn't look like a washout. Labor Day right now, National Weather Service going with partly sunny with a high near 80. So if that's true, that'll be very nice for Labor Day.
Very nice, yes.
Yeah, so we'll see how that pans out. All right, so we've talked for about 8 minutes about our own weather. Let's talk about... I got to give a long sigh for this. An absolutely incredible storm over Texas, Harvey. So tell us where do we start? Where do we start, Dr. Davis?
Early last week, it looked like there was some type of tropical disturbance that was brewing in the Gulf of Mexico,
right.
And it became Tropical Storm Harvey, I believe, Wednesday.
Yeah, that'd be about right. Yeah, that is. Yeah.
And then it transitioned to hurricane status on Thursday. But then it rapidly intensified during that 24-hour period from Wednesday into Thursday into a hurricane. And then by Friday, when it was making landfall, it was a Category 4 hurricane.
Yeah, for a while there, the forecasts were only going with a 2, maybe a 3. But
And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Saffir-Simpson scale, it is the scale that is used by meteorologists to assess hurricane intensity, and it's based on wind.
Right.
And the wind speeds in Harvey were about 135 miles an hour, which was quantified as a Category 4 storm.
Wow.
Category 5 is the highest you can get. Category 4, the last time it hit Texas was Hurricane Carla in 1961. Now, the last major hurricane to strike the U.S. was Wilma, not mistaken, in 2007.
I think you're right.
So it's been about 12 years since we had a major hurricane make landfall. Now, we did have Matthew last year that was a Category 5, but it did not make landfall in the U.S. So even though Florida did have a lot of rain and wind as it stayed offshore.
So as sad as this sounds, would you say, Dr. Davis, that this was kind of overdue for something pretty significant to strike the U.S.?
I wouldn't say overdue.
Okay.
But it definitely was probably coming.
Right.
Based on how we're stacking the deck for more of these types of storms.
True.
Where as Harvey was starting to come on shore, it encountered a very strong high-pressure system and pretty much stopped right at the coast and became nearly stationary. I believe you could walk faster than Harvey was moving at one point.
That's the other side of this storm that's absolutely incredibly tragic, is that, there's been horrible storms that have hit the country in the past 20, 30 years. Hurricane Andrew devastated South Florida, Hurricane Camille back in the 60s, even Katrina.
Which was 12 years ago today.
12 years. Oh, today? Okay, 12 years ago today. But at least those things kept moving. This thing came on shore and pretty much has kind of generally sat over the same area for days. It is no steering currents whatsoever.
And Houston also had a similar event occur in 2001. I don't know if you remember Tropical Storm Allison.
Vaguely, yes.
Tropical Storm Allison came on shore in Houston and sat over the city and rained for about a 3-day period.
Wow.
And Houston got, I believe, 30 to 40 inches of rain, which is 70-80% of their annual precipitation in that 3-day period. And to this day, Tropical Storm Allison is the only tropical storm to ever have her name retired.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a very good trivia right there. That's right, because they do retire names of serious storms, and most of the time, though, the serious ones are the hurricanes, but because that tropical system caused so much trouble...
Yeah, it never became a hurricane.
Interesting.
Like Sandy, for instance, was a tropical storm, but it was a hurricane at one point when it was down in the Caribbean.
Very interesting. So, okay, so back then they had 30 to 40 inches, but it looks like Houston's probably going to surpass that this time.
Some of the models are looking like could be 50 inches of rain, because if you have rain bands that are bringing precipitation rates about 2 to 3 inches per hour, and if that storm is not moving, you're going to have these heavy rains that occur, and you're going to get significant flooding as a result. So one of the things that the Saffir-Simpson scale does not look at, that some meteorologists say should consider, is the speed at which the storm is moving. Because a fast-moving hurricane will do less in the way of flooding than, say, a slow-moving or a stationary hurricane, as we're seeing with Harvey.
Yeah, it's almost haunting and scary looking at the models, how it just doesn't move. I'm just looking at radar right now, and Houston's still getting, pounded pretty good. Looks like they're not under maybe the very heaviest rain right now. They're getting a little... Where's Houston here somewhere? Oh, there it is. Okay, so it looks like they're getting just some moderate rain now.
East side of towns where they're getting the heavy rain.
East side of town right now, and if we animate it, kind of... Yeah, you just have these bands that are just like kind of stationary, just moving,
they almost seem to be retrograding back to the
west. Let's zoom out to the more, there you go. And let's see. Yeah, almost kind of retrograding back a little bit to the west again. So, and Louisiana's not totally out of the thing here either. Obviously, New Orleans is fairly safe. They're just getting a few inches out of this, but the rural southwestern parts of Louisiana are getting hit pretty good, too.
And they're the next ones. The storm is going to be drifting to the northeast.
So, let's bring up the model. Here's the GFS from this morning. Okay, it has the storm, kind of just sitting there off the coast there. And this is this afternoon, this evening, tonight, tomorrow morning.
There's a batch of heavy rain coming into southern Louisiana.
Tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow evening. This is this is like Thursday morning. Thursday morning still. Thursday afternoon. Now it's
starting to let up around.
Yeah, it's finally starting to let up around Houston, fortunately. But now northwestern Louisiana is getting pounded, and southern Arkansas is getting pounded pretty good.
Around the Ozarks. Yeah.
Yep. And Friday morning, it looks like eastern and southern Arkansas getting pounded pretty good. Still eastern Arkansas, so they could have some flooding issues as well, too. Probably not as bad as Houston, but still not good. So lows still kind of lingering over eastern Arkansas like Saturday morning.
And now it's starting to head up in that trough where the jet stream is.
Starting to get absorbed.
Start to speed up a bit.
Starting to absorb a little bit. Western Tennessee. Wait a minute. I got a little bit. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. Western Tennessee, Saturday afternoon. And Actually, the next frame has the low kind of disintegrating at that point, but still some rain.
Big precipitation shield.
And this is where we might get a little bit of stuff. This is like Sunday morning around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Shows some rain in our area.
So GFS model is actually showing the rain coming a little bit later.
Yep. And then Sunday afternoon, kind of showery. And then there's Labor Day, and Labor Day looks fine. Labor Day looks gorgeous. And then,
look down toward Houston there.
Oh, my God, something else coming.
There's something else down there.
There's something else cooking next week. Well, we're not even going to worry about that now. God forbid that should happen. But, yeah, there's something else cooking down there possibly next week. Wow. So, just look how this storm just hardly moves. It just sits there. There's just like no steering currents going on.
Yeah, it lost all its steering when it came on shore, and it ran into that high pressure, and it's pretty much just sitting there.
Yeah.
That's what pretty much will happen if you put a marble on a flat tabletop. It doesn't go anywhere.
That's a very good analogy. I like that one. So, wow.
And the other thing that concerned me, too, was it seemed to have that rapid intensification right before it made landfall.
Right.
Similar to 2004 with Hurricane Charlie.
I remember Charlie. Yeah, I remember
how it was a Category 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And right before it hit Florida, it intensified to a Category 4.
Mm-hmm. My uncle was living in a little town called Wauchula, Florida that year, and he was powerless for like about a week and a half, and he was going out in his car to cool off with air conditioning. I remember that.
And that's when I got really nervous, and then when I posted on your Facebook about how I think it's going to be like Andrew or Katrina bad.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I mean, where is this going to, you think, rank compared to some of the other horrific storms in our country, like Andrew and Katrina?
It'll be right up there, I think.
Yeah.
Once these rains stop,
right,
it's going to take a while for this floodwater to recede. After all, the ground is saturated, and you have potentially 4 feet of water sitting on top of it. Mm-hmm. Where does all that water go?
Right.
It's going to be a while, and I personally think it's going to be lingering all month of September, and then they're going to be cleaning up after that, and it could take years at that point.
Imagine if a storm like this had hit Louisiana, which is below sea level. That would have been even worse than Katrina. That's absolutely horrible. So so I guess Houston, I don't know what the elevation of Houston is, but I know that there's some areas.
It's fairly low to sea level.
Fairly low to sea level, but there's some. I was reading online that there's some areas outside the city that are a little higher, and they're okay. So, but either way, this is absolutely horrific what's going on down there, and our thoughts go out to those people. Mm-hmm. So
yes, indeed.
So, okay, well, on that ominous note, I guess we will head out, and we hope to record these things every week, as we do normally in the semester. So feel free to listen in anytime, and we'll podcast them on our Kutztown University Radio website. Just go to podcast, and you can listen back to any of these. Real quick, Dr. Davis, how's your semester looking class-wise?
Semester's looking good. I got meteorology this semester,
awesome.
So the students seem quite enthusiastic about the prospects of learning about the atmosphere.
You're going to send them over here again and do some weather later, or not sure yet?
Not really.
Okay.
That's more for my weather analysis, but I'll see if anybody's interested.
Okay, awesome. All right, Dr. Davis, you have a great semester, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good.
Okay.